Hi, I'm Agnes and I make videos for fun. I have been working on a frilly wrap dress by Fiber Mood. The facing is attached all around the neckline, and now I'm going to run an overlock stitch along the entire edge. The next step is to understitch the seam allowance to the facing, and that's explained clearly in the pattern instructions. The idea is to stitch the seam allowance, both layers, to the facing while working with the right side facing up and stitching as close to the seam as you can. The next step is to do the side seams of the body, stitch the side seams. But there's a wrinkle. This being a wrap dress, on the right side of the bodice, we need to leave an opening. So what I have here is on this side is the back of the bodice, on this side is the front of the bodice, and this is the side seam that's on the right side. The instructions are pretty simple. To leave the slit is easy. If I were working with normal fabric, both sides would be overlocked. So this would be overlocked, this would be overlocked. There would not be all this fraying going on. And then what the instructions say is to simply stitch those two together down to about here. There's a notch in the pattern that tells you where to stop, and then it will leave an opening at the bottom to thread the tie through. I'm working with chiffon and I'm doing this differently. First of all, this would be a French seam. So I've thought about it, and I thought the best approach was this. I have cut. So I have these, first of all, lying flat right next to each other, butting against each other, the front, the back. And I have cut a small piece of my interfacing that's been working so great. I love this. So I'm going to put this piece here, and I'm going to fuse that to the fabric, and this will secure this bit that is not going to be taken in the seam. Now that it's fused, I just need to go and separate the two layers again. I finished the left seam on the bodice with the French seam, and I'm working on the right one. The right seam is the one with that needs to have that little opening for the tie. So what I did on this one, I'm at the stage where I have done the stitching that you do in the French seam with the wrong sides together, and I've overlocked that. In doing that, I stopped to where I had put the interfacing, so I'm leaving a slit at the bottom. And now I'm going to, and I took that to my ironing board to press it in preparation for the final stitching. So now this is going to go right sides together, and it looks like a normal seam, and we're going to be stitching to finish the seam. And again, I'm going to be stopping to where the interfacing is. And I don't really need to do anything else. This is stabilizing. When I pressed it, it's already folded over. So that's really all I need to do. given the side seams a final press and I put the bodice on to check for the fit. So far I have no concerns. This makes a very nice wrap blouse. Next, it's time to start working on the sleeves. We're on step number 5 of the pattern instructions. There are 3 notches to mark along the sleeve cap, and then I will remove the pattern paper. The pattern paper also has some V notches here, but I'm not going to cut those because I'm going to be turning the hem of my sleeves differently from what the pattern says. So as we work on the sleeves, the first step is going to be to close the sleeve seam on both of them. I've closed the seams on both of my sleeves. Very happy with the result. I even did a fitting. It's looking really nice. I like the length. So speaking of length, the next step in the pattern, in the instructions, is to set in the sleeves, and then they hem the sleeves. I think it's much easier if I start by hemming my sleeves and then set them in. I'm going to be using the technique to hem chiffon, and it begins by turning up the hem. So I'm on the wrong side. It begins by turning up the hem by 1 centimeter, 1/4 of an inch, and pressing that in place. Misspoke earlier. 1 centimeter is 3/8 of an inch. The next step is to sew near the edge, near where we made the fold. This pushed my abilities a little bit. I am just glad that I did not sew the 2 layers together. It's an improvement. It's not too bad. So let me work on the second sleeve. The next step is to trim the seam allowance close to the stitching that I just did. Well, this one didn't go as badly as I thought. And the last step is to turn the hem over once more into a narrow hem and stitch that again. I do have a setting on my machine where I can switch the position of the needle. Instead of being centered, it moves to the left, so it changes where it hits in the presser foot. So I'm trying that. I think it will help me guide better. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like.